In the last several years, technology has seen an unprecedented boom, with the creation of new electronics, devices, and other gadgets. This technology has also spanned into the realm of nicotine products, with the creation of the electronic cigarette, or e-cig, as well as the Juul. First smokeless non-tobacco cigarette device was patented by Herbert A. Gilbert in 1967, but the e-cigarette did not grow into the popular device we know it as today until the mid-2000s. According to an article from the CQ Researcher, there's a pretty hefty debate from both sides regarding the status of e-cigarettes. Those in favor suggest that they could offer a potential public health benefit because they can help people quit or reduce smoking traditional cigarettes, while those opposed argue cigarettes are creating another generation of smokers who will likely become drawn to traditional cigarettes. One of the major arguments surrounding this topic is the incredible economic blow the loss of tobacco products would cause our nation. Vaping products alone are a $5.6 billion industry and also provide jobs to a multitude of Americans. In 2016, after being considered an epidemic by health professionals, the Federal Drug Administration began to regulate e-cigarettes as a form of tobacco, but this regulation will not fully go into place until 2021. E-cigarettes are also commonly viewed as a safer alternative to traditional cigarettes. However, we have so little research on the health effects of e-cigarettes, or if they are truly safer than a typical cigarette. I want to encourage more research to be conducted on the effects of e-cigarettes. The inspiration for this project started after my best friend went to a typical doctor's visit and found out that he might have lung cancer at just 18 years old. He's been a Juul user for 2 years and recently quit, but we'll hear more from him later on. Before we can dive into current issues, let's take a glance at some history. Since the 1950s or earlier, tobacco usage, commonly in the form of cigarettes, has been a controversial topic. Since this time, big tobacco companies knew the harm smoking cigarettes could cause to the human body, acknowledging that of the 7,000 chemicals in cigarettes, many were considered poisonous and cancer-causing. Some of these chemicals included benzene, which can be found in pesticides and even gasoline, as well as arsenic, which is commonly used in rat poisoning. Despite this knowledge, corporations continued to glamorize and romanticize tobacco usage through popular campaign ads and commercials showing beautiful women and other individuals living their best life because of cigarettes.
For the best combination of filter and good taste, can't satisfy us best.
It wasn't until 1994 when the heads of the major U.S. tobacco companies were forced to testify in front of Congress, where they declared the evidence that cigarette smoking can cause cancer and other health issues was inconclusive, and that nicotine, the main ingredient of cigarettes, was not addictive.
Nicotine is not addictive?
I believe nicotine is not addictive, yes.
Mr. Johnston.
Congressman, cigarettes and nicotine clearly do not meet the classic definitions of addiction. There is no intoxication.
We'll take that as a no, and again, time is short. If you could just, I think each of you believe nicotine is not addictive. We just would like to have this for the record.
I don't believe that nicotine or our products are addictive.
I believe nicotine is not addictive.
I believe that nicotine is not addictive.
I believe that nicotine is not addictive.
And I too believe that nicotine is not addictive.
Less than a month after this daunting statement, it was discovered from a box of confidential documents from the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Corporation that tobacco companies had known for decades the effects of cigarette usage, including cancer and premature death. In 1990, roughly 25% of Americans smoked traditional cigarettes, and as of 2017, this number has dropped to less than 15%. This raises the question as to why the percentage has dropped, which researchers propose 2 possible cases. One being that individuals quit smoking on their own entirely after learning about the health risks involved, or that these smokers have transitioned to using an electronic cigarette or Juul. So, what's a Juul? According to the Truth Initiative, Juul devices heat up a cartridge containing oils to create vapor, which quickly dissolves into the air. The device is small enough to fit into a closed fist and has a sleek, tech-inspired design that resembles a USB flash drive. In order to use the Juul, a cartridge called a Juul pod must be inserted into the device. The Juul pods come in a variety of flavors including watermelon, mint, and mango, However, Juul has stopped selling the majority of flavored pods, sticking to the tobacco flavor, amid the Trump administration's ban. But this is another topic we will dive into later on. On Juul's website, it states, "Our mission is to improve the lives of the world's 1 billion adult smokers." Juul claims they want to eliminate cigarette usage and provide smokers with a safer alternative. Juul also claims they only want their advertisements to reach adults who are currently smoking traditional cigarettes and no one else. But as of 2018, 85% of e-cigarette users, which the Juul also falls into the category of an e-cigarette, are ages 12 to 17. One thing I've noticed since the beginning of the research for this documentary is that Juul seems to have changed their tone on several of their advertising points throughout the years. Initially, the Juul was advertised to just about anyone, which is something that has gotten them into quite a bit of trouble. There was speculation Juul had been marketing directly to teenagers, and according to Stanford University professor Dr. Robert Jackler, it is undeniable that Juul, at least in its early days, targeted directly to teenagers. Jackler came across several archived Juul advertisements where the ads are filled with attractive young models who are socializing and sharing the device, dancing to popular music, and wearing clothing more applicable to teenagers than mature adults. This method of advertisement is a clear parallel to what we saw in the cigarette campaign ads of the 1950s and 60s. As of 2018, Juul has halted all of their social media presence, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where they were extremely active in the past. A year prior, Juul required any model who was featured in their campaigns to be at least 35 years old. However, a few months later, they began featuring real Juul users in their campaigns and added the nicotine warning on their products. The warning label reads, "This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical." Juul has also launched educational campaigns to stop teenage juuling at the source across print, digital, and radio formats. In August 2019, CBS This Morning interviewed Kevin Burns, CEO of Juul, to hear his side.
So you think Juul is killing the American cigarette?
I think Juul is absolutely contributing to the decline in the smoking rate in the United States. As our share of the cigarette industry has grown in the U.S., we have seen a high correlation of decline in the smoking rates in the United States. We're at 3 times the historical average in terms of the decline rate of cigarettes being smoked in the United States.
Fair to say you think you're safer than cigarettes?
I'm not going to comment about where I am in terms of that.
Cigarettes are here, the patch is here, Juul is in the middle?
Let's just say cigarettes are known to be the #1 source of preventable death in the world and are at the far end of the stream of that continuum of risk.
In 2020, May, you have to file with the FDA and prove to them that you are a net good for public health.
Correct.
That's taking into account underage use, and that's taking into account the potential benefit for adults. Do you think you can meet that threshold that Juul is a net good for public health?
We think so.
You feel confident?
Yeah, we think so.
One interesting contradiction I noticed in that interview was that the CEO of Juul will not claim that the product is a safer alternative to cigarettes, yet their products are advertised as if they are. One of the main concerns with the Juul is that no one knows the long-term consequences of using the device, since it has only been around since 2015. Because of this, many are not concerned with what may surface from Juul usage because there is no information explicitly saying it can lead to lung cancer or other issues. But why should we take a risk? Juul pods contain nicotine, the addictive ingredient that is also seen in cigarettes, so who's to say the effects won't be the same as to what we have seen with traditional cigarettes? In September 2019, the Trump administration announced a ban on flavored e-cigarettes in an attempt to keep the products out of the hands of teenagers, the age demographic most drawn to these devices. The ban prohibits the sale of flavored juices and pods, including fruit flavors, mint, and even menthol, but allows the sale of tobacco-flavored products. In the summer of 2019, 500 cases of vaping-related respiratory illnesses were reported from over 30 states, as well as 6 cases of death. The flavored pods were a target not only because of the appeal to youth, but also because they contain a higher level of nicotine than traditional cigarettes.
We have a problem in our country. It's a new problem. It's a problem that nobody really thought about too much a few years ago, and it's called vaping, especially vaping as it pertains to innocent children. And we're going to have to do something about it. One of the words and one of the reasons we're meeting today is to let you know that it's out there. And we want to have parents understand that we're studying it very carefully. It's, again, very new and potentially very bad. There have been deaths, and there have been a lot of other problems.
5 million children are using e-cigarettes. This is exceptionally harmful to our children. An entire generation of children risk becoming addicted to nicotine because of the attractiveness, appealability, and availability of these vaping products. So with the President's support, the Food and Drug Administration intends to finalize a guidance document that would commence enforcement to require that all flavors other than tobacco flavor would be removed from the market.
People all across the country had something to say regarding the ban, and in states such as New York, it inspired new pieces of legislation.
Vaping and e-cigarettes are more popular than ever, but there's growing concern about the health effects.
2 weeks ago, he called me. He said, "Mom, I can't breathe. I'm having chest pain."
Lorianne Davis of Bethpage says her son is now having serious health problems that his doctor believes may be related to vaping. There have been hundreds of reports of vaping-related illnesses, even death. Now State Senator Kevin Thomas wants to snuff out a key component of vaping.
These are cheap and they are deadly.
Senator Thomas wants to ban the sale of e-liquid or e-juice. That's the concentrate that can contain nicotine, which is added to certain refillable vaporizers. His bill would make selling these bottles illegal in New York State.
We need to regulate this as quickly as possible because of how e-cigarettes are branded as less deadly, and that is not the case.
Senator Thomas's bill would not affect sales of pre-packaged vape products or so-called vape pods. Still, vape supporters say this could hurt their business.
We'd have to concentrate on selling alternate products, which is not an issue. There are things out there that we can bring in addition to our product line that we have now. But you never want to see that taken away from the person that has the choice.
Matt Flax owns Vaporville in Hicksville. He says an all-out ban is not the answer. Doug Barthel agrees.
Adults should be able to choose what they want or what they don't want, regardless of what it does to their health.
Still, Lorianne Davis says something needs to be done because she believes more kids and adults are getting addicted to vaping's appealing flavors and nicotine.
I think anything and everything that we do is going to help.
When gathering research for this documentary, I wanted to get the perspectives of a number of individuals, both for and against juuling and e-cigarettes, as well as a personal testimony. I reached out to many individuals from organizations such as the Truth Initiative, Students Against Destructive Decisions, as well as a state senator, but I never received a response. I was able to get a personal testimony from a former Juul user, and this person just happens to be my best friend.
So I started around my sophomore year of high school, and so I did it in the morning because school is stressful, you know? And so I started it in the morning to kind of ease my way into...
What people don't realize is that it's real. This stuff is real. The health risks are real. What happens injury-wise, death-wise is real. They're completely dismissing the fact that Juuls and vapes, they also play a part in injury, smoker injury and smoker death.
There are many groups across the country, including the aforementioned groups I tried to reach out to for this project, putting forth tireless efforts to keep tobacco products out of the hands of teenagers. With the ban imposed by Trump, this could possibly be a first step in bringing an end to the use of smoke and smoke-free tobacco products in our country. We need to continue to research these products in order to see the effects, both short-term and long-term. Once we've been able to analyze the long-term effects of the Juul, maybe we will finally have an answer as to whether or not it is a safer alternative to traditional cigarettes. While we wait, I would encourage everyone to look at the data we have already to formulate your opinion and think if there's anything researchers have yet to discover. So, what do you think? If you have questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, let me know what you think.